The Unforgivable is a brand new Netflix original film that's hitting Netflix today, December 10th, 2021. The film stars Sandra Bullock, Vincent D'onofrio, John Bernthal, and Viola Davis, and tells a story about Sandra Bullock's character who's just coming out of prison 20 years after her sentence. She is trying to basically regain life and try to reconvene with her sister, who she hasn't seen in 20 years. She meets a lawyer played by Vincent D'onofrio and his wife, Viola Davis, trying to put her back on track, as well as the person who she's working with, played by John Bernthal. The film's an hour and 55 minutes and is rated R. Welcome back to a brand new Netflix review here on Max Talks Movies. We're talking The Unforgivable. Before we start with this review here on Max Talks Movies, please subscribe, ring the bell. That's the best way to support this channel. Sorry about that mumbling there. Please support this channel. We're so close to 100 subscribers, so please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, streaming platform reviews, movie rankings, all kinds of things. A box office breakdown show. Every single Netflix film, I review it. So let's talk about The Unforgivable. Also, comment section down below. Let me know, what was your excitement level for this film? Let me know if you liked the film, didn't like the film, and if you have not seen it, tell me, or you can check it out this weekend on Netflix. And please, the thumbs up button, guys. Please, please, please smash that button. That's how you support this channel. Let's talk The Unforgivable. So I was going in at the time that the trailer came out, it felt like it was an Oscar type film. It's a Netflix film dropping in December. And most of those films, other than Christmas movies, normally are Oscar pushy films. I watched the trailer, kind of felt like an Oscar type film where you have great performances. Also, the concept is really, really strong here. So let's talk about this film, positives, negatives, and my score. As I just mentioned earlier, the actual concept of this movie is really, really strong. Really, other than Sandra Bullock should have probably just been the young girl's mom instead of sister. The age gap does not make any sense. If they just established that this was Sandra Bullock's own child, it would have made a lot more sense. But from the actual concept point of view of something happens that puts her in prison for 20 years. She's trying to come out of prison. She can't really talk to her sister at all. No contact is on the lawyer. And all these different things. The concept is really, really strong here. From a Sandra Bullock character point of view and a character study of her character, that the actual concept is really, really strong. Of course, this is a really top tier cast, especially when I felt like it was an Oscar type film. Sandra Bullock, who we've seen with work, can really deliver strong performances. The Blind Side is one of my favorite sports movies of the last 20 years. So she's a really great actress given the right material. Vincent D'onofrio is also excellent in the film as well. I love John Bernthal. Just saw him in King Richard. Believes he should be nominated for that film. Nice to see him pop up in here, and as well as Viola Davis, who of course is magnetic whenever she's in any type of film. So the actors across the board do a really good job, the best they really can with the material given, and the concept itself is really, really strong. And I also say the last 20 minutes should have really been what the entire movie is about, or the way that I feel about the movie is what the 20 minutes delivered. The 20 minutes are really strong from an emotional point of view, from a character point of view. I think just the last 20 minutes was by far the only really strong part for me of the entire film from a story and a character point of view together. The movie's not awful, but I do think that the last 20 minutes are by far the best aspects of the entire film. Don't want to go into spoilers, obviously, but the last 20 minutes do nail what the movie was intended to go for. But let's talk about the negatives, because I really can't keep talking about my positives or I'm going to get confused with my negatives. The execution for this movie really drops the ball on a really good concept and a really great cast, kind of getting wasted by a really bad really off-putting and bad screenplay and some really wonky direction. This is a movie that should have been dealt with better from a directorial point of view and a writing point of view. They have the right concept, they got the right people in the movie, but they wasted tons of things in this film. I think if the film just stayed a little bit more focused, just a pure character study for Sandra Bullock, I think this movie would have come off a lot stronger. But this movie, for some reason, wanted so many things to happen at the same time. It at times is just way too confusing. And if it's just, I think a TV show, this would have been great as well, because just based off this screenplay, it would have been great for a 6 to 8 episode limited series. But because it is in under 2 hours, at an hour 55, just under 2 hours, it's trying to put in so much things that it just can't handle for a 2 hour runtime. As I said, Sandra Bullock just needed to be her own character and be focused as a character study on her. But there's so many subplots. There's subplots with, as I said, Jon Bernthal, who I love as an actor. And every scene with him and Sandra Bullock is actually a nice scene. And they have two scenes where there's one scene where Sandra Bullock kind of reveals to him herself, and then he also kind of reveals himself to her and who he truly is. And they're actually some of the most beautiful scenes in the entire film, and their whole relationship is strong. But the script has nothing to do with John. This movie really has nothing for Jon Bernthal to do for the last 30 minutes of the film. And while it's a nice subplot, it's a completely meaningless subplot that does not change what anything happens in the movie. If you just pulled every scene that they had together, the movie would not change, and that's a big factor. We have two brothers who are connected to what Sandra Bullock did in 20 years prior to where this movie takes place. They have after effects on it, and they kind of want to go after Sandra Bullock. So cliche, so stereotypical. It looked like one brother really wanted to go after him, then it became the two of their responsibilities, and one of their brother completely took over. It's a weird subplot. Again, it's very forced, and it feels like the film needed someone to bring tension to Sandra Bullock after she gets out of prison. And it's just one of the definitely the more stereotypical cliche things of the entire film. Viola Davis has nothing to do at all in this movie. She has like 2 or 3 scenes. And the idea, the meeting between Sandra Bullock and Vincent D'onofrio, when she on there basically walking around their backyard, and Vincent D'onofrio kind of lets her in and trying to meet the family because she used to live there. It's a really off-putting scene that makes no human sense whatsoever. Why D'onofrio? Unless you're gonna, again, the suspension of disbelief would be, he's such a nice guy. It really doesn't make any sense why they're letting her into their house. It's just, there's a lot of things that just don't make human sense, because the concept does feel at times really relatable, really human, but you have so many aspects that don't feel realistic whatsoever. And that scene, the meeting, the way D'onofrio starts to build the case also just doesn't make any type of sense. And I said, when Viola Davis kind of realizes what the story, what Sandra Bullock did intentionally, then she kind of gets on board with her, and she just becomes a driver for Sandra Bullock for the last 30 minutes of the film. There's nothing to do, and that's the problem. While this cast is really, really strong, there's so many subplots that just don't need to be in the movie, especially every time they cut back to Sandra Bullock's young sister, who's now like a teenager, I guess. The time periods don't really help me at all, but her scenes also are not that interesting whatsoever. So from a concept point of view and from a cast point of view, it's really, really strong. But from an actual story and director, also, because we don't really stay on the 20 years prior, like what the crime actually was. We don't just settle on that for a piece of the film. We basically feel like we get a flashback scene like every 5 minutes for a different angle of what happens in the opening scene. And the way the flashbacks are shot, cutting between just when our characters have quiet scenes, which wouldn't make sense in this type of film. Instead of just letting you sit as an audience member with these quiet, dramatic scenes. And once they keep cutting back to the flashback scenes, so you remember what happened. And the movie, the screenplay, does not trust the audience. And that's kind of the bigger issue I have with the film. It doesn't trust its audience. From a directorial point of view, it's very wonky camera movement for the flashback scenes. And there are some subplots that can be totally pulled out of this movie that don't affect what happens in the last 20 minutes of the film. Definitely Jon Bernthal's and really Vincent D'onofrio's as well. So I wish there was a little bit more to do for some of these actors, especially again, the 3 supporting actors needed a lot more to do in this film for their caliber. Maybe if it was just a character piece, it would have worked. Maybe if this was the TV show, it would have worked, but I'm just judging it off the movie itself. I just did not like this movie. I know a lot of people might really like this movie, totally cool with you, but for me, I'm just not a fan of The Unforgivable. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. I'm going to give it, actually, no, I'll go 1.5 out of 5, 33% for Unforgivable. I was actually thinking about going 35%, which would be 2. I'm going to go 1.5 out of 5 of 33% for the film. It's definitely not one of the worst films I've seen all year, but just a film I just never was extremely disappointed in. It feels like an Oscar baity film from Oscar baity performances that just, it's frustrating to watch, because this film has all the potential to be a great film or even a great TV show, but it does not come together in this film. So that's my thoughts on Unforgivable. Please like the video, subscribe, ring the bell. Other videos, box office breakdown show on Monday. Also, we got some more Netflix movies coming out. Spider-Man comes out next Friday. I'll go drop my Spider-Man non-spoiler and spoiler review of No Way Home, as well as my full Spider-Man movie ranking. I've been rewatching all the Spider-Man films. So all that. This is also my 100th movie of the year. Really proud of that. So please click my playlist so you can see all my other movie reviews, and I'll see you guys soon.